Hi guys, so a guy called Mark Sampson was interviewed by the Express, which I still believe is a pro-Tory, pro-Brexit newspaper, but I'm starting to have my doubts. Anyway, Mark explains how fellow Brits in Spain have begun to regret their vote back in 2016. They expected everything to be as it was, and that freedom of movement would only impact people moving to Britain. These Leave voters are now angry that they have been abandoned by the British government. Let's hear what Mark has to say about this.
Last 20 years or so, well, since the open borders for Europe, the people have been able to come here as if they were going down the street from England, and I think many of them have not treated moving country with the same respect as they would have done if they'd have moved to, say, America or Africa or Australia or whatever. And they've treated it as if, well, I'm just getting a plane and hop off and I now live in Spain. Whereas now they're having to treat it the same as they would do in any other country in the world that wasn't part of Europe. I think quite a few of them are thinking more of how it's affecting them on a daily basis, which it's been quite hard. It's not a great thing for the way it's been managed and turned around. It's making life difficult for expats. And I think that a lot of those are regretting it, even to the point where most of the friends that I have that I know voted to leave because I was with them on June 23rd, 2016, and jumping up and down that they won, they're now saying, no, I voted to leave, I voted to remain, I vote to stay. And very, very few that actually voted to leave are now admitting it. They're embarrassed by the way that it's been handled. They couldn't have anticipated how badly it's affected them. Some of that is just pure ignorance. They didn't realize that living in a foreign country without this free passage and whatever was going to be slightly more difficult. You'd have to fill forms out to do things as any other foreigner would. But also, I think some of it is just down to bad management by the Spanish and English governments, who haven't made it so easy for people to move and work in Spain as maybe England has made it for the Spanish to live and work in England. And there's a bit of resentment maybe. So they're looking slightly more foolish than they hoped. And I'm amongst them. I could never have anticipated it would be this hard, and that the governments would have been so incompetent. But
so Brexiteers knew exactly what they were voting for, right? So while he called it open borders, what he meant was freedom of movement. And yes, when the UK was a member, and it almost feels like a decade ago, not less than 12 months ago, but yes, if you wanted to move to Spain, you pretty much flew there, organised your accommodation, and with minimal paperwork you were sorted for your retirement. Now, British people are starting to understand that moving to a European country post-Brexit is pretty much like moving to America or another country that requires a visa and likely mountains of bureaucracy. There was a bit of British exceptionalism that went on, and I believe people like Michael Gove and Nigel Farage fed that. Remember they need us more than we need them slogan, or perhaps Spain needs tourism and they won't treat British people like migrants. I think they were talking about more than just trade when they said that. What is funny is how Mark said here that many of his friends in Spain voted to leave and were celebrating the Brexit victory. I'm still racking my brain to understand what they thought they had won at the time. But it's also funny how these people are now saying today, no, I voted Remain, of course in order to save face. He finished with how the Spanish and British governments should be working together. However, this was not the goal of Brexit. Brexiteers back in 2016 were not talking about cooperation, they were talking about breaking away, uncoupling the UK from Europe. The idea being that let's call a spade here, Brexiteers were looking down their noses at countries like Spain and Greece and Italy, those in the south of Europe, looking down on them in a sense that these countries are desperate for British tourists and the expats who live there. Even the term expat is in a sense exceptional. Why is it when there are foreigners coming to Britain they're called immigrants, but when they are British people moving to Spain they're called expats? Brexiteers in Spain truly voted against their own interests, and the idea that they wanted to punish others simply because they were foreign to them has clearly blown up in their faces. Their xenophobia has been rewarded. Now they're crying about it and they want the British government and the Spanish government to bail them out. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.